The winds swept across the rugged terrain of Blind Frog Ranch, whispering through the sagebrush and red rock formations that concealed centuries of secrets. Beneath that mysterious Utah soil, Eric Drummond and Chad Ollinger were about to unearth something that would reshape everything they believed about the treasure, the land, and the strange forces tied to it. A massive deposit of iridium, one of the rarest metals on Earth. The uneasy calm before discovery the morning had begun quietly, the kind of deceptive calm that usually preceded chaos at Blind Frog Ranch. Eric's instruments had been reading irregular spikes for days, signals that suggested dense, metallic elements beneath the northern end of the property. He had initially assumed it was more of the same, fragments of old tools, maybe meteorite debris, or even remnants of ancient mining. But when the readings intensified, Chad insisted on a deep ground-penetrating scan. The results came back with an anomaly so large and so dense that even Eric's most skeptical instincts were rattled. The readings suggested a pocket rich in platinum group metals, but one element, in particular, dominated. Iridium wasn't just rare, it was practically otherworldly. Found mainly in meteorites and deep within Earth's mantle, it was a signature of cataclysmic cosmic events. The implications were enormous. Signs from the Earth itself. As the team prepared the excavation site, strange occurrences began once again. Small tremors underfoot, unexplained electromagnetic interference, and a distinct metallic hum that seemed to pulse through the ground. For weeks, they had dealt with odd disruptions to their equipment. Cameras freezing, drones veering off course, and static-filled radio transmissions that sometimes carried faint, indecipherable voices. But now the anomalies grew stronger, aligning perfectly with the area of the iridium readings. Eric adjusted the frequency scanner, and a piercing tone filled the monitor, clearer, sharper, and rhythmic. It was as though the Earth itself was resonating with the metal below. Chad, always the one to chase the impossible, decided to dig despite the technical interference. The team drilled carefully through layers of compact sediment and fractured rock. Each foot deeper brought a stronger magnetic pull, and the drill bit began to emit faint blue sparks, a rare effect that shouldn't have been possible at such depth. The first glimpse of iridium when the drill finally struck a dense core. The vibrations sent a wave through the ground. The team froze as the sensors went haywire. A thin, silvery substance began to appear in the sediment sample, a metallic sheen that shimmered even in shadow. Eric, experienced in geology and metallurgy, immediately recognized the unique texture and density. The sample was unnaturally heavy, and when tested on site, it revealed the unmistakable spectral signature of iridium. Excitement erupted. Iridium wasn't just valuable, it was historic. This was the kind of metal used in aerospace technology, nuclear reactors, and even ancient meteorites. Finding a concentration of it on the ranch suggested something far greater than a random deposit. It hinted at a celestial event, perhaps a meteor impact site buried under the property. Unearthing the impossible over the next few days, Eric and Chad worked tirelessly to expose the metallic pocket. What they uncovered wasn't just a small vein. It was a vast plate-like structure embedded deep in rock, unlike anything naturally formed. Its surface was smooth, curved, and partially fused with the surrounding sediment, as though it had melted into the earth thousands of years ago. Eric ran his scanner again. The readings were off the charts, pure iridium alloyed with traces of osmium and ruthenium. The combination was rare even in meteorites. It was as if they had stumbled upon a fragment of something engineered, something that didn't belong in that geological layer. Chad stared at the glimmering metal, its faint luminescence reflecting off the flashlight beams. It wasn't a treasure chest or a cave of gold, but it felt more valuable than either. Unseen forces at work as night fell. The ranch grew restless. Motion sensors triggered without cause. The surveillance drones captured faint movements, figures at the perimeter, shadows shifting in the darkness. Whether they were intruders or merely illusions born from exhaustion, no one could say. But something else began happening inside the excavation zone. The metal emitted a low, vibrating tone, almost like a hum that resonated through the ground. The closer the team moved, the stronger it became. Eric's instruments began to malfunction again. The batteries drained faster than ever. Digital readings flickered with unreadable data. The Iridium appeared to distort the electromagnetic field around it, bending radio waves and disabling GPS, something only extremely dense, high-energy materials could do. When they tested its reaction to light, they noticed the rippling faintly like liquid mercury. Government curiosity and old warnings news of the find couldn't stay quiet for long. A contact from a geological survey office reached out, curious about the unusual readings in the area. It wasn't the first time outside interest had been piqued by the ranch's activities. Years earlier, reports had circulated of military-grade sensors being used to monitor similar sites across the state, areas that might contain extraterrestrial metals. Iridium, in particular, had been linked to the boundary layer of the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, when an asteroid impact reshaped Earth's history. Was Blind Frog Ranch sitting on a remnant of that same ancient impact? Or was it something else? Something hidden deliberately. Historical clues and local legends. The Olinga family had long believed the land was more than it appeared. Local Ute legends spoke of star stones buried deep within the earth, pieces of the sky that burned brighter than fire. Early settlers had written about strange magnetic fields and glowing rocks unearthed after thunderstorms. Eric began cross-referencing geological maps and discovered something astonishing: an alignment between the ranch's location and a centuries-old crater field that had never been fully surveyed. The Iridium deposit sat directly in that alignment. It suggested a meteor fragment, or perhaps something artificial that crashed there long ago, lay beneath the property, entombed in layers of sediment and mystery. When science meets the supernatural, as they continued to examine the find, phenomena around the ranch intensified. Electronic locks malfunctioned. Compasses spun without reason. Even the livestock reacted nervously, avoiding the excavation site entirely. At one point, during a late-night recording session, Eric noticed faint orbs of light floating above the site, small, pulsating spheres that hovered for seconds before disappearing. The footage captured partial glimpses, but never long enough to identify. The hum from the Iridium structure seemed to correlate with these lights, as if the energy emitted was attracting or activating them. It was becoming clear that the Iridium wasn't just rare. It might be reactive, holding properties not yet understood by conventional science. The hidden chamber beneath. Weeks later, ground-penetrating radar revealed an even deeper cavity below the Iridium layer, a hollow void extending into a serpentine tunnel system. The shape matched previous scans that had hinted at underground chambers near the frog ponds, where strange luminescence had been seen in past seasons. This connection reignited old speculation that Blind Frog Ranch wasn't merely rich in minerals, but built upon a buried structure of unknown origin. Iridium could be part of a shell or containment layer, sealing whatever lay below. Eric theorized that the energy interference was a byproduct of that containment, perhaps a system designed to shield or power something beneath. Chad, though skeptical, couldn't deny the evidence. The readings, the lights, the unexplainable hum, all centered around that single metallic core. Discovery beyond value. Late season, Samples of the metal were tested at an independent lab. The composition stunned the analysts. It wasn't pure iridium. It contained isotopic ratios inconsistent with any known terrestrial source. The discovery suggested an extraterrestrial origin. If confirmed, it could be one of the largest and most pristine extraterrestrial iridium deposits ever found on Earth. That level of purity was virtually impossible outside of impact fragments or artificially engineered materials. The ranch, already shrouded in mystery and conflict, had just gained a new layer of significance. The price of knowledge, but with discovery came risk. Strange vehicles began appearing near the property. Drones with unfamiliar markings hovered in the distance. The team started working under heightened security. Chad installed additional cameras and reinforced the site's perimeter. Still, odd power failures and unexplained break-ins continued. Someone, or something, was determined to learn more about what they had uncovered. The Iridium deposit wasn't just a scientific marvel. It was now a target. An uneasy future as autumn winds swept across Blind Frog Ranch. Eric and Chad stood near the excavation site, reflecting on the magnitude of what lay beneath them. The iridium, the electromagnetic field, the hidden chamber, all pointed to something ancient, intelligent, and possibly deliberate. Their find could rewrite geological history or expose something humanity was never meant to touch. And though the surface of Blind Frog Ranch remained quiet, the ground itself seemed to pulse, faintly alive, echoing the deep hum of the metal that had waited millennia to be found.